We're in business. We are on Daf we are on I think Milayan the Rabbana. The words of the rabbis. It's about halfway down where there's an asterisk in the middle of the page. It's where opposite the first Misaras Shas. Okay, Milayan the Rabbanan Amrin. The words of the following rabbis tell us Chalitza is a P'tur. Chalitza is not a kinyan, but rather P'tur. Now, this is the case the following rabbi said, Shimra boy kumi Rabbi Yochanan. Ma ben cholitz ma ben megarish. What's in between cholitz and megarish? Now, cholitz and megarish are cases later in the Masechta. In this case over here, Leah and Rachel were two sisters. Leah was married to Reuven, and Rachel was married to Levi, right? And then Reuven died without any kids. Rachel died without any kids. Then Reuven died without kids. Levi did without the kids. But before Levi died, Shimon already did chalitza on Leah. Okay, he already did chalitza on Leah, Reuven's wife. So now, when Levi dies, so then on Rachel he does chalitza, but not ibum. He can't do ibum because it's achos chalutzaso. It's the sister of his chalutza, but he can do ibum. He can't do ibum, but he must do chalitza. So, question is, why does he have to do chalitza? In this case here, if Reuven was married, two sisters, Leah and Rachel. If Reuven was married to Leah and then he divorced her, right? Then and Shimon was married to Rachel and then Shimon died. So Rachel, being the sister of Leah's divorcee, does not require either chalitza or ibum, right? She goes scot free. It's alright. But that's the case. Why do you say it's anything by achos chalutza also? If chalutza is a kinyan, so he already acquired her and got rid of her. So if acquired and got rid of her, then that's the same thing as his grusha, isn't it? Right, that's the question. So obviously they're learning that chalitza is a p'tur. Because they're saying if chalitza is a kinyan, so then you should be exempt from having to chalitza on Rachel because it's the sister of your chalutza Leah, right? So it says the Gemara again. Shim bar bo Rabbi Yochanan ma ben cholitz ma ben megarish. He said or you think that chalitza is a kinyan. It says ain't no kinyan, but it's a type which should be chalitza is a kinyan, and therefore you're asking me why achos chalutza requires chalitza, but achos grusha does not. It's not true. Ain't a p'tur. It's only a p'tur. And that's why, in this case over here, so it's only a p'tur, so I mean, Shimon patered Leah, but then when Rachel falls before him, he still has to chalitza Rachel to pater her as well. It's not like a kinyan and then a gerushin. So, and the Gemara continues on that line, rather, the Rachel now is still considered to be, Leah actually, is still considered to be the deceased brother's wife. It's even a chalitza, she's not considered to be his own grusha. She's still considered to be Reuven's deceased brother Reuven's wife. I mean, there still would be, according to this perspective, a chiyuv of eishasach after chalitza, because chalitza is not a kinyan, it's a p'tur.
But she still, she cannot marry a kohen.
Believe me, Rabbanan. The reason a kohen is only the Rabbanan, not the rights, according to most sources. Okay, so that's he's saying. Actually, This we had a machlokas earlier. Shimon himself might not be chayav on her because of Eishasach, because he did the mitzvah chalitza to her. But the other brothers, Luitzur, there were more brothers besides Reuven, Shimon, Levi. There was Yehuda and Yisachar, so they'd be chayav on Leah because of Eishasach. Because we said earlier, chalitza only takes the issue of Eishasach off vis-a-vis the person who did chalitza, not vis-a-vis the other brothers. And the more saying that's because chalitza is a p'tur. So vis-a-vis him, okay, he did the mitzvah pathering her. But vis-a-vis everybody else, you still consider Eishasach, and there would be chai because of Eishasach. Okay? So that's what it says here. The other brothers are chayim her because of the wife. She's the wife of the deceased. Now, yesterday we had a machlokas Rav and Shmuel about this case over here. You had 5 brothers married to 3 sisters, and the 3 brothers died, right? So the question was, who's got to do chalitzas? Isn't it 3 chalitzas? How do you do it? So again, we said yesterday that Madamar says chalitza is a kinyan, says that's Rav, who says chalitza is a kinyan. He holds that both of them have to chalitza. One does chalitza for one, the other does chalitza for the other, and both of them chalitza on the third, because Lamaisa, as far as this case is, it's hard to say, since chalitza is a kinyan, it's hard to say which one of these should really do it, since they both already were koina, a woman, a sister of this, they're both kona, through their chalitza they did, a sister of the third sister, and therefore there should be a rayas vis-a-vis her. So therefore the fact that they need chalitza, well, necessitates us to have both of them do chalitza, since we have no better reitzah. Shmuel says that chalitza is a p'tur. He says it's true each one patered a sister, but patering a sister is not the same thing as having married a sister. So therefore, either one of them could do the chalitza on the third sister. You don't need both of them to do it, right? Now we have a third shita. The third shita is Levi. Levi says, Levi Omar Ziko Kinyan. It's not chalitza Kinyan, it's a Ziko Kinyan. Therefore, each one of these guys, Yehuda and God acquired all 3 of these women. So therefore, since it's simultaneous, or since it's at the same time, so therefore, since all 3 acquired her, so therefore, each one of them has to chalitza on both, right? That's because Ziko's kona. Okay, good. So says the Gemara, Mastisa Pliga Shmuel. The Mishnah argues that Shmuel says chalitza p'tur. It says achol also. It says achol tivimto. If you do chalitza to your Yevama, who wants to be krova? So he's not allowed to marry her relatives. Via sur be krova, and she's not allowed to marry his relatives. So if your chalitza is a kin, I understand why you should be also your wife's relatives. Your wife should also your relatives. So your chalitza is just a p'tur, not a kin. Why should you be also her relatives and she also your relatives, right? Says Marno Shani Yocha. There's different. It's the Xer Rabbanan. Shekfar near Lifto Bar. The rabbi said, since he was at bat and had the potential to pater up, so therefore we look at it as if they actually did go through the motions, even though they didn't, and therefore we ask the respective relatives on each other. Okay. Masisa Pliga Rab. Now, Pam Mishar is a Rab. It says Acholati Vimto. This is over here, it's further down. So the case we had before. Shimon did chalitza to Leah, and there was another sister Rachel married to Levi, and then Levi died. Okay? So she had Rachel get chalitza, right? So, Masil Pi Rab, chalitza vimto, so I mean chalitza on his Yevama. And his brother married her sister, Umeis, and the brother dies. So Choletz is Lomis Yabemes. Rachel's got to get Chalitza not Yibum. Hoda Messiah, Lamandamar Chalitza P'tur. That works out, according to the opinion, that all Chalitza is a P'tur. So Baram, however, you take out the word hocha. Kimanda amar chalitza kinyan. If chalitza is a kinyan, v'yeshonim iskar and liklo shtei chayas kachas. How can you possibly have a mind? How can you possibly do chalitzas to two sisters? If chalitza is a kinyan, so it's a logical impossibility to do chalitza and then another chalitza to the sister. Because the first chalitza is kind of Leah to him. So once he's kind of Leah, Rachel must be forbidden to him, right? Because of achas chalutzaso, and chalutzaso is if you're koiner. So it's if Rachel is your wife's sister.
Didn't you say it was a simultaneous kinyan?
Yeah, here. Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you're asking.
Maybe. Didn't we say that according to the Mandoma that chalitza is a kinyan?
Yeah.
He's making a kinyan and he's breaking the kinyan at the same time.
Yeah, but so let it be like a divorce. So let it be like a divorce. If your wife's sister's alive after the divorce, you can't marry her. You can't do yibum on her, so you shouldn't have to do chalitza on her either. So that's the question. Let it be true. Let's say the kinyan took place, but let it be like a kinyan merely followed by a rupture, and therefore it should be permitted to since the kinyan was immediately interrupted. So therefore, since that's the case, it's like a gerushin. So I'm putting emphasis on the wrong thing. Let's say it's like a kinyan which was broken. So since it was a kinyan, so therefore the breaking is like a gerushin. Breaking is like a gerushin, should be halacha like your wife was a grusha. Your wife is a grusha, you can't marry her sister.
So you don't have to do chalitza on the sister.
Right. So we are too. Why do you have to do chalitza on the sister? That's the Gemara's question. Okay, so says the Gemara again. Hadam Messiah, the 4 lines to bottom. Laman damar chalitza p'tur going to be which whole chalitza p'tur. Brown command or chalitza kinyan. Whole chalitza kinyan. Yesh Adam is gavan liklo shtei achas kachas. How is he going to marry two sisters? How is he going to do chalitza on both? What kind of logic is that? Says more, very interesting, very strange answer. Plus, but after Leah kicked the bucket too. Let's kill them all. So there ain't no Reuben, there ain't no Leah, there ain't no Levi. All there is Shimon and Rachel. So and that's really like a wife too, because once your wife dies, you can marry her sister, right? So too, since Leah, okay, she was like your wife, because chalitza is like a kinyan. But now that she's dead, so Rachel, so now you have to do chalitza even to Rachel, because Rachel's available again. Chalitza not yibum. Sorry, that's where it says question. Ilachamisa yibum. So why can't you do yibum? It says the choletz is limited, so why can't you do yibum? So Pasuk Rabbi Lezer, let's like Rabbi Lezer. The Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Lezer said, Afal Pisha Botel. Hagorim Isabrim Kom. That's quick, right? Avisha Botel Hagorim Isabrim Kom. Rabbi Lezer, Dafka by two sisters, like this case. It's not true by Chotar Kula. Obviously, when your wife dies, you're mutter to marry her sister. So we don't always say Ava Pisha Batal Agoyim Isrim Koimo. But when, specifically in these cases where the issue is caused by the complexity of the relationship by two sisters vis-a-vis Yevamos, so then even though the issue fell off, since the issue existed one time, it continues to exist afterwards. Okay? In other words, basically what Chazal did, they call it Achayos Yevamos. That's the concept. Whenever Chazal had a problem in a Yibum situation because two brothers are married to two sisters, they called it a true erva, which sticks to both sisters, according to Rabbi Lezer, even after one of them dies. So even though by marriage, when you're married to a woman and she dies, you can marry her sister, but by Achayos Yevamos, there's a reciprocal psul which fell upon them, which never falls off. And therefore, even after one of the sisters dies, since at one point this woman was also the sister, she remains also for all eternity.
He does pizza on Leah first, and then later on Leah dies, and then later on Levi dies. So does that?
It still won't.
Because of that saying that.
Yeah. Right. This is the Rabbanan. Yeah, it's just tainted. That's exactly the point. Okay? Masisa Pliga Rav. The Fire Mishnah also argues a Rav who says Chalitza is a kinyan. What does it say? It says Shlosha Achim. You have three brothers. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Reuven and Shimon married to Leah and Rachel. Killed him. Then Levi did mimer in Leah. Sorry. This is a bummer. Then, of course, oh, sorry. Who died first? No, it's one. I got the sequence wrong. Reuven died, then Levi did mimer in Leah, then Shimon died before he managed to do the actual Yibum. Okay, that's the sequence. Reuven died, Leah fell before Levi, Levi did mimer, before Levi did the actual marriage, Shimon died as well, Rachel falls before Levi. Okay? So you have Achios Yevamos again. So basically a Rav Shlosha Achim Mem Nisui B'Shtei Achayos Ve'echel moved and one of them is unencumbered by marriage. If one of the husbands or the sisters dies, Vasaba moved the mimer, and the guy the guy is free, meaning Levi, the single guy, did mimer. Then Shimon, the other brother, died. Beishamah says he gets to keep Leah because Beishamah holds mimer is a kinyan, right? Rachel goes out because Rachel is his wife's sister, and wife's sisters don't require chalitza yibum. Beislamrim, no, he's stuck. Catch 22. He's got to kick out his own wife with a get. And kick out his brother's wife by chalitza. So Adam decided that works quite Peter. Chalitza is a p'tur. Chalitza is a p'tur, so now it works. But around Kamana chalitza kinyan. Real chalitza is a kinyan. Can a person do a kinyan, two sisters at once? Now, the truth is, our question is, how come Levi has to do chalitza on Rachel at the same time he's going to do gerushin on Leah? That should be unnecessary, to say the least, right? Why it should be unnecessary, though? So it should be unnecessary because one of them should be married to him, either the one who's chalutza or the one who's a grusha, because the Ritbaz really says this later on, but I see it's really relevant here. Ritbaz makes a kavaldik a kal v'chomer. He says, if chalitza is a kinyan, kal v'chomer, that what's a kinyan? What? Gerushin. So here, when it's megarish, doesn't follow. Why? No! How can you say that? We said chalitza is a kinyan precisely when, because if zikos doesn't, it's not really meaningful. We said chalitza p'tur means zika is meaningful. Chalitza kinyan means zika is not meaningful.
It's still a relationship with zika. You don't say chalitza kinyan was absolutely no
relationship. It's like mimer. Hey, Levi had Zika to Leah too. Just because he did a mimer on her, it doesn't mean that the Zika wasn't there. He had Zika. You're making this up as you go along. So do I, that's true. However, that's how the Ritbaz says it. You don't have to agree with the Ritbaz certainly, but the Ritbaz makes that point. He says, if Chalitza is a Kenyan, certainly that's how he explains next Gemara. Again, I think probably it's necessary to say that here too. If you say Chalitza is a Kenyan, certainly Gerushin should be a Kenyan. So you shouldn't have to do both. Chalitza to one, Gerushin to the other. One should suffice, right? We have to do both. It's a reb. Both are chrono to you. You only have to do one, not the other, right? Says Rama Chalitza Kenyan. Why do you have to? A person can intend to buy two achis. How is he buying them in a year? He's buying them like this, right? Because doing chalitza on one and gerushin the other, but that's tantamount to kodesh achis. So I can have him do both if that's tantamount to being kodesh achis. So again, we say that one he does after the death of the other. In other words, he does chalitza to Rachel after Maimer's death, after Leah's death. Okay, we would like to go Maimer, but he does chalitza to Rachel after Leah's death. He can't do it simultaneously because you're right. That would be it would be improper to be coined to women, even by giving chalitza and gerushin at the same time. So it says more in lachamisa against the achamisa yibum. If Leah kick the bucket, let him be miyabim Rachel. Say question we had on top. Say matzah we gave on top. Pasuk Rebelezer Amar Abba Bisha Botzah Goyrim. Even though the core catalyst is gone, Haisim Kaimo again. In Achiyas Yevamos, the Isser of taint remains forever. Okay. Masis will be a wrap. So far, you guys with me? Masis will plead on the wrap. I'm barely with myself. Masis will plead on the wrap. I feel like Groucho Marx. Masis will plead on the wrap. Here. Yes, he would say lines like that. What? The Masid of Plea of the Rav is following this Mishnah. We had it already earlier. You have Shomeres Yavam. Shomeres Yavam is Rachel. Oh no, Leah. How do Leah get? No, Leah, Rachel. Shomeres Yavam Shakidesh Achiv Es HaChosa. In other words, the same idea as we just had, but instead of Maimer, it's Kedushin. Leah was never married to one of his brothers. Leah is a sister of his brother's wife. But do you know that two blocks are married to two sisters? Two blocks are married to two sisters. Rebellion Meir and Reb Zalman Bloch, I think. So the Tzavos Rabbi Yehuda Chassid says that two brothers shouldn't marry two sisters. Yeah, so obviously it's disregarded much of the time. But once you learn Yevamos, you see that these two brothers, two sisters is a kind of a jinxy thing in Yevamos. Okay, maybe that's where the Rabbi Yehuda Chassid got it. What did they ask a Shiloh before they did that? Wasn't one of them divorced now? They're both happily married. Okay, that's cool. So obviously they're turning because the Blochs wouldn't have done it if it wasn't the heter for it. All right, Rabbi Yosef Leib Blochs, two of his kids who were married to two sisters. They're rich shiduchim. I don't know, maybe that was part of the heter, but in any event. So you have Reuven was married to Rachel, and then Reuven died. Shimon, before Rachel died, only did Kedushin to Leah. He didn't actually fully do Nisuin. That's interesting. The Ritbaz actually wants to say, although I can't accept this, the Ritbaz wants to say that there's a chesar in here, vis-a-vis Yibum, even though Raisa, if all he did is Kedushin on Nisuin. Because something like Asher Lo Yokim is Beis Achiv. It says that if you don't do Yibum, so we say about him, that the person wasn't making his Beis Achiv. So we see that Yibum is linked to the concept of Bayis, and it's only called a Bayis once there's Nisuin, So therefore he wants to say that that's why if you only did Kiddushin to your wife, Kiddushin Doraisa, not Maimer, even if you only did Kiddushin Doraisa, but since she's not your bias yet, so therefore it takes precedence for you to build your deceased brother's bias, and that means that you have to get rid of the wife you were Mekadesh. You see the Ritbaz Svara? Yeah, Karula base Chalutza now. Yeah. No, it fits in very well with the Ritbaz if you accept the Ritbaz's argument. That everything focuses on bias. So therefore a woman who the Yavam was Mekadesh, but only Mekadesh, since she's not his bias, so she has no capacity to undermine his chiyuv to do Yibum and be born another bias. You see what the Ritbaz is saying? No?
If you really did Kiddushin.
If you did Kiddushin to a woman, she's not called your house, you don't inherit her yet. Right? So when does she become your house? When Nisuin, after Nisuin. So therefore the Ritbaz is saying actually in this case, where Shimon was only married to Leah part way, Kiddushin. And then Rachel, Leah's sister, fell before him as a Yevama, so Minadin Doraisa has got to divorce Leah. Because the Chiv Livnos Beis Achiv overrides his as yet unfinished house with his wife. Okay? It's an interesting concept. Normally, we would all understand it's the Rabbana. That just because that the Raisa, she's really fully married to Shimon. But since it doesn't look like she's fully married, so therefore we make him divorce Leah and do whatever he has to do to Rachel. But he learns it's the Raisa thing. Okay, so Naaman. Last is a bliga rab. So Rachel's sister Leah was married, but Kiddushin not Nisuin to Shimon. Right? Mishum Ravidim Emseir, when they Ravidim Emseir, they said, Oimim Lo, they said, Oimim Lo, we say to Shimon, Hamtei, wait, Achiasa Maisa, see what Levi does. Your third brother. Chotzu Achin, if Levi does Chalitza to Rachel, right? O Kontzua does Yibum to Rachel, so Yichlos is Ishto, you, Shimon Raftok, you can do Nisuin with your wife. Mesa Yevama, also if Rachel dies, then also Yachdis, you can also marry your wife. However, Mesa Yevam, what if Levi dies? So there's only Shimon left, so that's the case. Moitzis Ishtabreis got to divorce his wife with a get. There's Eisha Sochi b'Chalitza, and it's got to do his wife's sister with Chalitza. So again, the same question. This helps quite a bit Chalitza's P'tur. Because Chalitza's P'tur, you can do Chalitza to one and Gerish into the other. Chalitza Kenyan, or Chalitza Kenyan. Yeshudam is Kamalides, Shtayachos Kiachas. You're going to do a divorce to Leah and a Chalitza to Rachel. That's two Kinyonim and two sisters. Should work. But again, we take Rabbi Lezer. Now, there's two possibilities here. It's not clear how exactly it answers. It seems like this is shorthand, right? That what it's saying is that no. Here, really, it's like about after Leah died. After Leah died, so let him be able to do Yibum on Rachel. No, you can't do Yibum Rachel because she's tainted. But that's not true here. That's not true. It's not true at all. Because Leah was not, Leah and Yoach were not Achayos Yevamos. Right? Leah was never Yevama. So the taint is not the same as the one Rabbi Lezer always applies. Right? The taint of Rabbi Lezer is where you two Achayos Yevamas. But here it was Achayos, but not Achayos Yevamas. Leah wasn't Yevama. So I want to change the gears here on my own. Hey, why not, right? So I want to change the gears and say that the proper gears here should have been Rabbi Zira. Rabbi Zira we had last night said, Kol Yevam Shniris Lotzis B'Chalitza Ein Muteres Below Chalitza. Anyone who wants to kukul Chalitza needs a Chalitza. So therefore here, the reason why he's got to do Chalitza to Rachel is because after Reuven died, so Rachel was suited to do either even Chalitza to Levi, right? Now it's true, then Levi died. But she already was kuka to Levi. At that point she was kuka to Levi, she was nearest to Chalitza or Yibum. Now, Shimon therefore has to either Chalitza or Yibum on Rachel. Even though he has to divorce his wife, and that's a Kinyan, but since she was nearest to Chalitza already to Levi prior to Shimon, to Shimon's entanglement in the affair, so therefore the Chiyuv Chalitza remains even after Shimon divorces his wife. Okay, that's what I want to say. So instead of Pasuk Rabbi Lezer, I want to say Pasuk Rabbi Zira, that again, that Kol Yavam Shniris Lotis Chalitza and Muteres Below Chalitza. Anytime it's a Pasuk Chalitza, you need Chalitza afterwards. Okay, next Raya. Masisa Pi Rav, this Bryce argues on Rav as well. It says, interesting case, Kohen Gadol Shemes. Ooh, I made the same mistake when I was praying prayer. Kohen Gadol Shemes Achid. Kohen Gadol's brothers die. Kohen Gadol's brother dies. So what does Kohen Gadol do to his brother's wife? Can he marry her? No, why not? And she's a widow, right? So but he does Chalitza. Ask the Gemara, give a good question. That works quite a man. He can be Chalitza. But Barav Kimada Chalitza came holds Chalitza as a Kinyan. I'm a Lava Divrei Torah tells the transgressor the Raisa. What else the Kohen Gadol does Chalitza on this woman? If you Chalitza is a Kinyan, he's marrying an Almana. By doing Chalitza, he married her and transgressed Isra of Almana the Kohen Gadol. Now the Shai Torah so points out this only works out according to Abaye in the Bavli and not Rava. Abaye holds that a Kohen Gadol is also Almana even b'chasnus, not even to marry, not just b'biyah, right? Rava holds only b'abiyah, and here certainly didn't have biyah, right? But the question is according to Abaye, who says that the wedding itself is also. So if I do a Chalitza, the Kohen Gadol Chalitza to his sister-in-law Zalmana, so he's already transgressing the Isser. How can the Marisa say he should be over on the Isser of marrying by doing Chalitza an Almana? It's a Kavaltic question, right? Why aren't you ripping your hair out?
I don't seem to understand why the Gemara doesn't seem to understand. Say Chalitza is a Kinyan. It's not the Kinyan like you run of the mill. Obviously, it has to do.
I know that, and you know that, but the Yerushalmi obviously doesn't know that. So obviously we have to.
All of this.
I preconceived notions. Sorry. Yerushalmi seems quite clearly to hold its literal kingdom. Anyway, another question along this line. Hey, Rabbi Chama Charbin the Rabban. Rabbi Chama, the friend of the rabbis. Remember, that means he didn't have true smicha. It's just a chaver. Rabbi Chama Charbin Rabban said, "Well, Masisa pliga Rab." I got another Mishnah that argues a Rab. It says Shloisha Achim, 3 brothers. 3 blind mice. He had 3 brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, right? Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. The Suah Shtei Achis, they're married to 2 sisters. Shnaim, the Suah Shtei Achis. Oh, Isha Bito, this are either 2 sisters or a mother and daughter, whatever, some Isser. Or Isha Bas Bito, mother and granddaughter, or grandmother and granddaughter, or Isha Bas Bino, either through the son or to the son or daughter. Harei L'Chotzes Lo Misyabos. So Levi's got to do Chalitza on both of them. On both of the sisters. So again, here's the same question. Shani Isha Bito. And you can't say here what you would have said elsewhere is that, well, Levi only does Chalitza only if Rachel died. Right? Before we said that when the eye shouldn't have to do Chalitza on both because you can't be Koinish Deachis Kachas and be Kiddush Deachis. So it said no, when you do Chalitza on the other one after the first one dies, because then she's theoretically Mutzeres, right? So therefore you do chalitza at that point. Says Yerushalmi, that may be true if it's two sisters. But if this is a mother, this is a daughter, so the mother-daughter prohibition in our rights doesn't fall off even after one of them dies. You can't marry the daughter after the mother's dead or vice versa, right? So therefore the kasha is, how could Levi have to chalitza on both? Chalitza is a kinyan, and if chalitza is a kinyan, he's being koinish le'achis kachas. How can you do that? And even if you say it's not sisters, right? Even if you say by sisters, so it could be where one died and the other is still alive, and then you have to chalitza on the second one. But what about if it's a mother and daughter? Why should you have to chalitza on one after the other one died? So it says, these last two Mishnayos arguing Rav, now the shaila is what that means exactly. The Korban Moshe say it's not possible to sustain Rav after that, those two kashas. These are two bomb kashas. But I sympathize here with Reb Meir. I would say V'leislun Kiyum means the questions cannot be sustained. Meaning that I can answer the last two questions easily. I can answer the Almona L'Kohen Gadol question by saying Chalitza is not a true kinyan that I should transgress this Almona L'Kohen Gadol, and I can answer the question from this case over here by saying this is also a case where perhaps one died and then the other one died, and Kol Shnir the Chalitza requires Chalitza, like Rabbi Zira. I could set it up in a way that it would require Chalitza from one over the other. Something to that effect. I might be able to find a way. I'm not sure. But in any event, there are two ways of learning. One of them say the Rav has been refuted, and therefore Chalitza is definitively a P'tur. The other say is that Rav could have easily refuted the question, in which case it remains an open issue. Okay? Halacha base. One of them is forbidden as an Isur Erva. In other words, the same case we had in the first Mishnah. And one of them, there are two co-wives, and one is an Erva. Isur Erva Asarba, you're not allowed to marry the Isur Erva. Not two co-wives. The two wives and two separate husbands, right? They had two brothers who died, right? And one of them was, they were married to two sisters. And one of them was also upon you cousin Erva, because let's say it was your mother-in-law or your daughter or something like that, right? I don't know exactly how it works, but anyway, one of them was an Isur Erva. Usher boy, now let's marry her. We're allowed to marry the other sister. That's a fascinating thing. Achayas Yevamos only applies if both sisters theoretically are mutter, but because there's a zika on both of them together simultaneously, so therefore they both are usher. But let's say one of them is super usher because she's really an erva d'oraisa. So then the problem of Chayas Yevamos falls off, and you're allowed to marry the one who's not the erva d'oraisa. You see that at all? You have three brothers, right? Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Reuven and Shimon were married to two sisters. One of them now Reuven and Shimon died, so Levi can't be miyabim then because they're achis Yevamos, right? But one of Reuven's wife was, besides being a sister to Shimon's wife, was also Levi's mother-in-law. So she's for sure also to him, even though Raisa, right? In that case, Levi can be miyabim Shimon's wife. Even though there is an achis Yevamos situation, since as far as he's concerned, the one who's an erva to him is out of the picture, so he can be miyabim the other one.
The concept of chalitza didn't exist.
Right. There's no zika in this case. It has to be really achos kukasa. It wasn't achos kukasa because there wasn't any zika, right? Okay. Asaba mutabachos. Hasheni aser b'shteim. If there's another brother, vis-a-vis whom neither of them are true arayas, so he's aser both of them, because vis-a-vis him achis Yevamos is still sustained. Isser mitzvah, Isser kedusha. One of them was prohibited Isser d'Rabbanan, or an Isser Almona L'Kohen Gadol, Grush Chalutza Kohen Hedior on him. Choletzes lo misyabemis. So the other one has to chalitza, not evil. echad mehem asura, achas mehem asura, al echad isur erba. The one of them is this right erba to the one. Vashni asura al zeh isur erba. The other isur erba on the other one. Right, the crisscross situation. Yeah. Here, see. Each was married. Each one of the Yevamim, the Yavmin, was married to well, there were two mothers who had two daughters, and this distributed across the Yibum situation. The two mothers married the two dead guys, and two daughters married the two live guys. So each one is also in one Yevama, who's his mother-in-law, and mutter in the other Yevama, who's not his mother-in-law, right? So they crisscross. See how the dots cross, right? This guy, Levi, is mutter in Leah, who's not his daughter's mother, and Reuda's mutter in Rachel, who's not his daughter's mother. I mean, his wife's mother, not his wife's mother. Okay, so amen. So that's the picture. One was prohibited as an erva to one. And the other was prohibited as an erva to the other one. Also said what they said the one was also to one is what to the other. But the said what they said was also to the other one is what to this one. That's what it says. When you have a sister who's a Yevama, then it's possible to have a scenario where you have an option of either Chalitza or Yibum, and that's the case over here. There's either one your mutter, and you have the option of either Chalitza or Yibum. Now, Onas Isha, you raped the woman, or seduced her, you never married her. V'yoda bas, and you had a daughter with her. And this daughter, your illegitimate daughter, went and married your brother. And she's got a sister who's not related to you, because that's her mother's daughter, which is not your daughter as well. Shem was married to your second brother, who mates blow about him, and he died without kids. I raised also repeat, but they both died without kids. I raised also rebito umuter ba'achoso. He's not allowed to marry his own daughter, of course, even with his own daughter, but he's allowed to do yibum on her sister. But that's going about the boys, not the girls. So I raised also rebito is allowed to marry his own daughter. Muter is allowed to marry the sister. This is a case which is quoted, a very famous case, when you have a daughter married to your brother, her sister, who's also Yevama, Misyabem is coming Misyabem. That's the case of Jesus Christ. Now going back to the next case of Mishnah, Onas Isha V'yoda Bas. So this is a case actually is drawn here. Reuven and Shimon each raped Dinah in turn. It's the case in its place in certain types of neighborhood. So Reuven and Shimon both raped Dinah. Dinah, they had two kids, therefore Rachel and Leah, which are half sisters, right? Rachel and Leah, of course, went and married their uncles, right? Levi and Yehuda, the ones who didn't rape them. Ones who didn't rape their mother. Now, Levi and Yehuda died. The good guys died. The good guys finished last. So now, same idea we had before. Rachel can marry her uncle Shimon, the one who didn't rape her, right? Raped her mother. The one who raped her mother, but did not begat her in the process. Leah can be misabemes to Reuven the one who raped the mother and begat Rachel in the process, not her. Why? Because it's quite opinion that a person allowed to marry Bas Anusoso. Was allowed to marry the daughter of his rape victim as long as it's not through him. Okay? So that's what Gemara is basically saying. And then your brother came and raped her, the Bas, and they had a daughter. And warms the cockles of her heart. They're both married. Are the two other brothers from the father? But not from the mother. So the one is also in his daughter, but mutter in her sister. The other one is mutter in also in his daughter and mutter in his sister. And this is the famous quote of also zeh mutter zeh, also zeh mutter zeh. We have also one mutter the other, also toward the other one mutter to this one. Okay, Shlosha Achim. In this case, we just had on Yud Ches Beis. Shlosha Achim Shtayim Mehem Nesuim Shtei Achim, 3 brothers, to married to 2 sisters, or Isha Bita, or they're married to a mother and daughter. That's this case over here. Oh, Isha or Bas Bita, a mother and granddaughter, through a grandmother, granddaughter through the mother's side. Or Isha Bas Bita, a granddaughter and grandmother and granddaughter from the mother's side, from the father's side. So they have to do chalitza on both and not yibum on any one of them, right? Haisa, the same idea we have. Reb Shimon poter, Reb Shimon exempts. What Reb Shimon exempts, the Gemara is going to discuss. If one of them is an erva to Levi, so then, of course, Asr boys, Asr and her, is mutter marry the sister or the mother or the daughter, whatever it is. Isser mitzvah, Isser kedusha. One of them is Asr as a derabanan or kedusha chotzes v'lo misyamos. And do chalitza, not yibu. Okay, because only it's the derabanan, not the same. Not it's the derabanan, like it's the derabanan, so chayav elav. So if it's not the same thing. Now, the Hagos Ben Ari on the bottom. It's Reb Yisrael Salanter's father, who was a rabbi in Tels. So he was. But in the real Tels, I saw Rav Gifter calls him Moran HaBen Aryeh, because since he was the rabbi in Tels, so we have to call him Moran. That's the proper title for somebody who's like a Rebbe. So it's an interesting thing. Even though it was pre-Tels Yeshiva days, it was way back when. Nonetheless, she didn't have a Rebbe. Okay. In any event, so he says that the last 3 words of the Mishnah, Rishim Poter, are to be deleted, because it's really supposed to be part of the Gemara. It's a header in the Gemara. We're going back to what the Mishnah said, Rishim Poter after the Reisha. Rishim doesn't hold that you're Poter in the Seifa. So says the Gemara, Ula Breish Mohamar Kach Birashi Kach Pirusho Rabbi Yoshua Avi Mishnah. This is the explanation of Rabbi Yoshua, the father of the Mishnah. That was like an honorific title he got because he helped compile the Brises, right? This is what he said. Reb Shimon Poter Sarshniya. Reb Shimon says the second one to fall before him is exempt min chalitza min hayibum. So actually, in this case over here, Rachel and Leah, the first one, if Reuben dies first, Rachel has got to do. He does chalitza yibum. Leah is exempt; he doesn't have to do anything. Okay, nothing. Rabbi Yochanan said, Chabura is a maksha, the chevra, they're asking, Shalol los al dash ikno adam shteachas kachas. It's not possible to conceive that a person is going to acquire 2 sisters simultaneously, right? So therefore, one second. I forgot. The Rebaz says. Okay, fine. No, what he's saying is this: if that's Rabbi Shimon says you pater the second. Why was he pater the first one too? The reason he's patering the first one is because since you have two sisters, so you have to pater them because you don't. It's Yerushalmi Yevamos, right? The same idea we had before. So if that's the case, so then you should pater both of them. Why does he have to chalitza on either one of them? So no, there's a machlokas here. The Lord Rabbi Shimon pointed to Shnia Mina Chalitza Yibum. Why is Rabbi Shimon only part the second one Chalitza Yibum? He said Shalom das Sheikdo Adam Shtei Achas Ki Achas. It's true. The second one cannot be acquired, but the first one is already acquired. That's what Rabbi Shimon really holds. We're talking about here where it's sequential, and where it's sequential. So Rabbanan said, look at the end result. If the end result is they have two women before you, right? So you do chalitza or not yibum on both of them, right? Rabbi Shimon says, don't look at the end result, look at the sequence. And therefore, since the sequence was Rachel and then Leah, even though right now they're both in front of you, but since it was sequential, so therefore you do chalitza yibum to Rachel, and then Leah gets free. Okay? Is that clear? Because he says, we can't have two at once. Two at once is bad, right? But if two at once, what is the ramification of that? So according to Rabbi Shimon, it means according to Rabbanan, it means if you can't have two as one, so therefore neither one is full, neither one is in, but they're both in limbo, so you have to chalitza on both. But according to Rabbi Shimon, it means the second one doesn't take hold. So therefore, you do whatever you want on the first one, and the second one is off the hook. That's how we hold it, right? And language is Talmud over there in Bava. They said, even Rabbi Shimon, the logic of Rabbi Shimon is Ein Zika no felis l'mokum Zika. It says in, but it's supposed to be Ein. This Zika to Leah can't fall where there's a raised Zika to Rachel. There's no room for it to fall. That's why the second one is potter. Since the first one established the Zika, again, obviously the house would fall on both Reuven and Shimon simultaneously, because then we'd be up the creek, because then we'd be taka Zikas, two Zikas simultaneously. When they don't fall simultaneously, we just ignore the second one. Rabbi Bod b'shem Rabbi Lezer. Now Rabbi Bod's name Rabbi Lezer said, V'hu she'avar ubar. Now this is only once if Levi already had bio with Rachel, then Leah's off the hook, according to Rabbi Shimon. But if Levi never had bio with Rachel, Leah remains on the hook, right? Hey Chavida, so what's the nafkimina? Hey Chavida is like, what's the nafkina? I'll tell you. Kiddush echem min hashuka esashniya. If somebody from the marketplace came and married Leah, the second one, right? I'll die to Rabbanan Kiddushin Gemara. According to Rabbanan, it's definitely Kiddushin, right? This is not Rabbanan of our Mishnah. Because Rabbanan Mishnah only need chalitza from both. This is the question of the machlokas in Rabbi Shimon himself. When Rabbi Shimon himself, the Rabbanan said, "Ein zika nofel samakum zika." So therefore, once Rachel is zukuka, Leah is not zukuka, right? Rabbi Bon, then Rabbi Lezer said, "No, Leah is zukuka even after Rachel was zukuka. The zika is nofel samakum zika." But once he did Rachel to be to Rachel, then Leah's off the hook. So nafkamina is like this. Let's say he didn't do bia to Rachel, and he married, and he went and he did bia on Leah, right? No, somebody else went and did bia on Leah. Sorry, minashuk. So if you hold, right, so I'll die to the Rabbanan Kiddushin Gemara. Rabbanan hold according to Rabbi Shimon, there's no zika to Leah at all. So whoever married Leah from the shuk, it's a perfectly good marriage, mazel tov, right? But I'll die to the Rabbi Lezer, according to Rabbi Lezer, however, the Kiddushin are tluyim. This Kiddushin, which somebody from the mark was more Kaddish Leah as a suffix, right? If should Levi then carries on and marries Leah, Rachel, then Leah goes free, and then retroactively your Kiddushin is back to Kiddushin, right? Then only the Kiddushin toast is a shniyah. But if he never went ahead and completed the marriage with Rachel, then Kiddushin to Leah of the Guy Min Hashuk never took effect. Because Leah only goes free according to Blezer after the Bia to Rachel, not beforehand. Okay? Another nafkamina. Bala Shnia. What if Levi had relations with Leah? Does that work? So Adaiti the Rabbanan, according to Rabbanan, well, there was never any Zika to Leah, Bias Erva. There's never any Zika to Leah of any sort. So this is Stam Bias Erva. Adaiti Rabbi Lezer that the Zika to Leah only falls off once he had relations with Rachel, right? So then it's not Bias Erva, ain't a Bias Erva. Because right now there's Zika. True, it's a Zika which could be erased had he had Bia with Rachel, but he didn't. So therefore, the Bia with Leah is not yet a Bias. Okay? All right, we'll have to stop here for this evening, but we'll come back this tomorrow night.